Welcome to the Dawn Osborne Show, Limitless Life. The big question women like you and I ask is, how do we do that? How do we have a growth mindset? How do we increase our emotional intelligence? How do we do life, business and marketing, and yet still remain balanced in the rhythm of our life and our family? Those are the questions that this podcast will answer. My name is Dawn Osborne, and welcome to my Limitless Life podcast. Hey everybody, and welcome to Wow Women. I have got another amazing Wow Women for you today. Her name is Jess. She only just got married. She only just changed her name. She is a super little powerhouse. She's only 27. And she has really made me go, wow. She's just does amazing work in the community. She's an advocate. She's verging on an activist right now. But I know she started out with a heart for her community, a heart for people, and a heart to help and support people. She's a chaplain to women who work in the sex industry. She's a PT. She's a speaker. I would say author, but maybe she's not an author yet, but she will be, because she'll be sharing her stories. But I want her to share some wisdom with us today. So let me just introduce to you this amazing Wow woman. Hey, Jess, how are you?
Hey, Dawn. I'm great. How are you?
Good. It's awesome to have you here. So I've introduced you as kind of an advocate, kind of going on to activist. Would that be right?
Yeah, it certainly has changed over the years where I've advocated for women and different people, but it's coming to a point, I think, where there needs to be a little bit of activism to get the ball rolling faster.
Yeah, well, that's good. So let's look. Obviously, our viewers don't, and our listeners don't know who you are, or kind of where you've come from. And we love a story on Wow Women. We like to hear people's story, where you've come from. So just kind of give everybody a bit of a background of your, where you've come from, and how did you end up as an activist for women and trapped in the sex trade?
Yeah, well, bit of a story. Like being a chaplain for sex workers isn't usually people's dreams as they're growing up. But I first got interested in sex workers when I was 9 years old. And part of that was because I grew up in a low socioeconomic family. My mum was a single mum, and there happened to be 5 of us in a 2-bedroom cottage. I saw the distress women could be in when they were poor, uneducated, and desperately needing money. Yeah. So I decided I would quit school, and I was prepared to enter in the workforce to help my mother. And so I happened to ask 2 of my aunties, what makes a lot of money? I'll do anything. I want to help my mum. And they both laughed and said, you should become a prostitute. And I said, well, what's that? Yeah, I know.
Great. Not much wisdom going on there, Jess.
No. This is why I've gone after wisdom, because I've needed it. And so I didn't know what it was. And so they put on Pretty Woman and said, take notes. And what they didn't realize is that I was being deadly serious. And so I watched Pretty Woman and I thought, yep, that looks all right. I'll do that. I can do that. That looks easy. And I went to school, and it was like, divine intervention here, where the school put on Who Do You Want to Be When You Grow Up Day. And I said, I'm going to be a prostitute. And I said that with so much pride, because I was going to save my mum from the situation she was in. And the whole classroom laughed at me, and the teacher got really angry at me. But once she realised that I wasn't being a class clown, she contacted my mum and said, hey, look, your daughter says she wants to be a prostitute. I don't know what's going on there. Mum sat me down and tried to explain to me as best she could what a prostitute was. And I asked my mum the question. I said, why did everyone laugh or say that was disgusting? That doesn't make sense to me. And she tried to explain that. And in my little 9-year-old head, to me, that just felt like bullying. I was severely bullied when I was in primary school for about 4 years. And so I knew what it was like to feel misunderstood and judged before people got to know you. So I said to my mum, if I ever met a prostitute, I promised to be their friend. And I just got up and ran off and jumped on the trampoline or something. And so from that point of view, from a very early age, I developed a heart to get to know the misunderstood and actually help other people understand them. So I've always tried to be that middle person that bridges 2 sides together. because there's misunderstandings both ways in the sex industry. They misunderstand other people, thinking that they judge them or won't like them or there's no opportunities. And then other people in the community who don't understand what they're going through can judge them. So my job really is to actually break down the barriers that separate people.
Yeah, wow, that's really amazing. And that's because everybody, you know, deserves any, you know, it doesn't matter what you do for a living. You need to know that you're loved and you're supported. And I know there is, you know, there is a lot of judgment out there. And, you know, I often think if you only had one more piece of information about that person, you probably wouldn't have judged them so harshly. So, so tell me what happened then. So you've kind of, you know, you have this moment as a child where, okay, I want to be a prostitute, but then you realize what she did, but then go, okay, so I won't be a prostitute, but I will go and love and become a chaplain to them. How did that journey? So you know, I know that you're a PT, your personal trainer. How did that transition from, you know, how did that open up for you? Like, do you work with an organization, or, you know, how did you actually get to be a chaplain to, you know, this industry?
Well, there were two other significant events. So that was the first one when I was 9. Yeah. I hated reading books, absolutely hated it. Mum tried to get me to read and I just wouldn't have a bar of it. But then after that experience, I came across a book that was about a prostitute, and it was called Call Me Elizabeth. And what it was just her story about being a mum, and her kids really wanted to go to this school and do all these sporting things and she couldn't afford it. So she actually decided to be an escort. And that was the first novel I ever read. And so my compassion for these women grew again. And then when I was 15, I happened to be at my best friend's place and having dinner there. And they happened to have 2 sex workers living next door to them. And they were mean and teasing them and cruel to them. And I remember it was a family, you know, a large family of 6 or 8 of them around the table. And I remember as a 15-year-old standing up and advocating for those women, going, you don't have the right to tease them when you don't know who they are. You don't have the right to be mean if you don't know who they are. In fact, I encourage them, invite them around for dinner. And that family happens to be a really big supporter of my work today. Rather than what they used to do. So that was the next thing where I just felt compelled to stand up. And then I sat down and ate dinner with the family. So that was the second thing. The other thing that happened was when I was 19, I went to Cambodia.
Yep.
And over there, that was, you know, 10 years ago, that was the real hub of sex trafficking. Really young girls, you know, 4 and 5 and 6 were working in brothels. And I had this amazing opportunity. I was one of the first Westerners to be able to go into this house where these girls who had just been rescued from sex trafficking got to go. It was that immediate gateway house. The fences around the building were 16 foot high, huge and barbed wire. They were fiercely protected. And within seconds of walking into that gate, there was a 3-year-old girl who came up and hugged my legs. And I got angry. I was just angry that this little girl got touched. It was like she didn't even get to experience any kind of life before she was used as a prostitute.
Oh, that like just it's almost unbelievable. It just makes my blood boil to think that we're in a world that thinks that that's okay. And I know that's not everybody, but there's a majority, a small number of people right now that think that that's okay, because otherwise we wouldn't have a child sex industry in Cambodia. So, oh my gosh, there's no words really, is it, to describe when you actually look at it. And that's what happens, you see, when we're mums, we don't, and we've got our own children, we can't, it's so hard to get our head around that was actually, you know, this is actually happening, but it is happening. And it's happening, you know, closer in our homes than we think. You know, we think about the online platform. We have a gone are the days where you had the porno guy with the video, with the van that used to come around, drop off the couple of videos for mum and dad so that they could spice up their sex life. We've gone from that to having it readily available, not just for mum and dads who want to spice up their sex life, but actually now we've got children, and obviously, you know, we were at a rally yesterday, campaigning against the effects of porn on children. So we're not against, you know, mums and dads or partners, you know, enjoying whatever they need to enjoy in their own lounge room, but we're talking about the effects on children when children have access to it. And I know that you know, I'm a great advocate. I'm right there with you, you know, when it comes to advocating for, you know, we just need to do whatever it needs to take to protect our children. So, you know, we're not anti-porn for adults, you know, if that's what, you know, it's personal preference. That's not what we're going for. We're just going for protecting our children. And I can see, Jess, that you're right there on the front line, helping support the people. And I know that you help women, because obviously there's a choice if you want to be in a sex trade. And I'm not having a go at anybody who's in the sex trade. We're talking about the ones who feel trapped, and who you support the ones that want to come out. They want to integrate back into a normal life. They don't want to do it anymore. Is that right, Jess? Is that what you do?
Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. But what people probably do struggle to comprehend is that I'm also there for the ones who love it. Because we all go through hard times and different times, and the ones that love it are really socially isolated as well. And so the ones who are really, you know, like, I really love my job, but I can't tell anyone, and I can't, if you know, I still have to lie to my family. I still have to lie to friends that I work at a bar at night time. So those people still need that friend as well. And that's essentially what I try to be as well, is not so much a social worker to them, not so much a counselor or anything like that. It's literally just going, hey, you have access to somebody who really loves and cares about you and wants to hear about your life, and you can be completely open and honest with me. And we have a whole team like that in our city that does that. And it's actually quite remarkable what happens when you go with that approach. Some of these women have been some of the best people I have ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And
I have friends who've come out of the industry. They're awesome. They're amazing people. Yeah,
there are. And I know that. I know that you've worked with, you know, even teenagers who have done, you know, sex work on the side, and you can just see how awesome they are with a little bit of love and nurturing. They just bloom.
That's right.
And that's what's really exciting.
They're valued and loved, and they thrive. They thrive. There's a choice. There's always a choice. If we get to choose our world that we live in, right? We get to make the decisions. But some of these kids grow up and they don't realize there's a choice. And so I know it's like, okay, well, you do have a choice. There is an out. If you want to out, if you want to stay, that's okay. We'll love you through it. So it's important for people to know that there are options and there are choices that can be, and I know that you're right there making sure that they know that there are choices. So I love what you do, and you're just a little powerhouse, and I'm really can't wait to hear the wisdom that you have to share. I know you're only 27, but obviously clearly you have been made some very mature decisions, and you've dedicated your life to helping others, and that's what we want. And so look, share some wisdom with us. What is your number one wisdom tip for us today?
Yeah, sure. Number one is that there is a real difference between passion and excitement. And I've learned this over leading an organization for a while now, that there's a lot of people that get excited about what we do, that there's very few people who are passionate. And the difference is that in the Latin root for passion is actually means to suffer. And that's really different to excitement. It means that you have seen suffering. So passion is often born out of pain. And the reason is because pain, once we've overcome it and come through it, there becomes this willingness to suffer even more for the sake of others not suffering what we have. And that's where passion really is born out of. Excitement can come from things like, I would love the affirmation I'd get from doing this. Excitement isn't willing to suffer what you will to get the job done. Passion means you'll go through hell to make sure that this gets done. And believe me, if you really want to see change in the world, you will come against obstacles. You'll come against giants, and you'll come against things that will really knock you off your feet. And you need to have a passion to stand back up, not excitement.
Because excitement, so I hear what you're saying. So, excitement is short. Passion is longevity, long suffering.
Yeah. I say passion is patient and excitement makes excuses. So a lot of people tell me that they have, dreams. I've really wanted to, do this, but I just can't see an opening. Well, you know, if you're passionate about it, you'll wait a year.
Yeah.
You'll wait 2 years for that, and just watching like a crouching lion, just watching for the opportunity, and then you go boom. People who are excited will watch for about 2 minutes and then get bored and go away. And I see a lot of excitement. And if you run a volunteer, you know, organisation of any kind, you realise that there's a lot of excited volunteers because they'll stay with you for 2 weeks and then get busy and want to do something else.
Yeah. So you're looking for people with passion. Yeah, no, that's really good. And I think that, I mean, we can take that and we can put it in so many different spheres, like even business ideas.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I am so guilty of this. I see an opportunity and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then I'm like running, galloping. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this is getting a bit hard now. Maybe I was wrong with that decision. So yeah, I can see I'm excitement. And then it's like, no, I'm going to lay that down. Yeah, it's passion is the key. To be passionate about your subject, be passionate about your mission, and be passionate about who you're helping. That is what will see you through. That is gold.
And as a PT, I was running a business for a long time. And, you know, you'd wake up at 4 a.m. and then you'd work until 9 p.m. You know, if you weren't passionate about what you were doing for people, there's just no way you would go through that suffering. So a really good question to ask if you're about to embark on something is to ask yourself, am I willing to suffer for this? Because the reality is you will.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That is really golden. Yeah, I'll be asking myself that question more often, so I kind of get out of the excitement, get into reality. You know, actually, can I do this? Can I suffer for this particular project? Because it's always like the honeymoon period on anything that you embark on. It's always the honeymoon period, and then bang, the reality. Okay, this is going to be a little bit painful to get this, you know, where I want it to be. So that is.
And the other thing that adds to that too is that what I realized was working with, you know, really broken people. Sometimes they're on drugs, sometimes they're homeless. And, you know, what I've realized over time is that people don't actually want help. They want relief. And it's a very similar thing. Help means you're going to walk through more pain to get better. Relief means you want the pain taken away. And most people want relief and they don't actually want help. And it's a very similar thing. I think society's really excited and they're relief addicted rather than passionate and actually wanting to help themselves.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, what's number 2? Fire. What's number 2?
Number 2 is take your emotions out for coffee.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. So what this means is what I find for people is that when I'm working with them, when I'm doing pastoral care, is that you really, like, people have labelled, our society has labelled emotions as either they're good emotions or bad emotions. And so what that makes you do is you either suppress those emotions or distract yourself from them. And what I teach people is that emotions are actually tools to be used. If you don't know how to use, you know, a drill, you're likely to injure yourself. But if you know how to use a drill, you can actually construct something amazing. Yeah. And the same with our emotions. So a lot of people will label anger as bad. So they'll use distraction or they'll just try and suppress it. If you suppress anger, it's going to come out in something else anyway. Yep. So what I say is, all right, take that anger out for coffee. Actually sit down with it for a while. Let it be as it is. Let it come in its ugly self and go, why are you here? What are you trying to tell me? Because underneath that anger for a lot of people is that there's fear.
Yes.
A lot of people get angry because they're burling up and trying to protect themselves. Yeah. Sometimes they're getting angry because they want to protect themselves from pain. So I see this a lot in families. I hate my mother. And under that, if you get to it, what they're really feeling is abandonment from their mother. There's pain there. And so if you know what is actually going on, you can actually heal from it. You can actually grow from it. And so learning how to use your emotions as tools can be incredibly helpful.
And I love the visual, you know, when you know you have to take your emotion out for coffee, go do that and get some self-awareness. I teach a lot on emotional intelligence, and that is gold. I love the visual that, you know, if you're angry, frustrated, feeling a little bit low or sad, take it out of coffee and find out why you're feeling that. So, and then it will reveal itself. It always does. And you once you know the truth sets you free, right? Once you know why you're feeling like that, it's like, yeah, okay, now I can deal with it. Now I can create an action plan to get myself out of this emotion or, you know, fear or anger or whatever. No, that's gold. That's really, really good. Okay. Do we have number 3?
Yes. Number 3 is that sometimes it takes more courage to stop than it does to keep going.
If you're a passionate person, absolutely, totally agree. You're like a steam train.
So not all the time. Not all the time,
Okay.
but sometimes it does. And I know if you're an A-type personality, probably like you and I are, where we're ambitious and we're goal-driven and we go after the impossible.
Action. Yeah.
Yeah, what we really need to realize is that we are in an infinite game, not a finite game. And so we actually can't always win the game. We can win like mini goals along it, but we can't always win the game. So a finite game is like a football game. There's rules that both sides agree on, and there's a time limit, and whoever has the most goals wins. You and I are in a finite game where there's actually no end to it. This thing that we're fighting for and going for, it's never going to end. For instance, the sex trade is never going to stop, but I'm going to die trying to get women to make sure that, you know, if they're in it, they've chosen to be there.
That's right.
And that every woman has a choice to get out if they don't want to be in there. We'll probably never actually win that game, but boy, we should die trying. So that's an infinite game. It's just going to go on and on and on and on and on. And in infinite games, there are going to be seasons of change, and you can't charge full steam ahead like you can in a football game, give your all, and then recover later on. It's just perpetual and ongoing. So sometimes you've got to also hand the game over to someone else. And people with A-type personalities find that really hard. Like, that's my baby that I was going for. I've kept my eyes on that for 10 years. I'm not giving it to someone else. But sometimes it takes more courage for you to stop, to let go. Sometimes we squeeze ideas or goals, and sometimes it takes more courage for us to go, okay, I actually can't have control of this anymore. Yeah. And to let it go. Yeah. Sometimes we you know, keep going after a relationship, and we're obsessed, and it takes more courage to let go than it does to keep going with them. And so sometimes we squeeze because we're afraid, when it takes more courage to let it go.
Amen, sister. That is, it does take a lot of courage to let go than it does to keep going. Wow, that's really good. And I think, you know, anybody who's listened to this, you know, would find that really helpful, and that it is okay to let go. And, you know, when I'm in that process, as you say, you know, I'm one of the A-types like you, is I have to go, you know what, if I close this door, another one will open, and I just have to trust that the next one that's going to be open is a better door. It's a better opportunity. It's something, it's more congruent with the direction that I'm going in, whether that is relationship, work, business, or whatever. So the letting go thing is quite hard for us control freaks.
It is. And you know what, your story has shown this. So if you guys haven't listened to episode 9 where Dawn shares her story, you really need to. It's inspirational, and it is raw, and it's real, and you can relate to her because it's the good, bad, and the ugly. But what I loved about your story, if like we don't let go ourselves, life will make us. And life made you let go. Absolutely. Like, you got to the point where you couldn't move from your neck down. It made you let go. And I think we need to realize when it's wise to let go, rather than our body shutting down saying you need to let go, or that we get, you know, so many mental health issues because we haven't let go of something. Like, our body makes us let go. And I think your story really, really highlighted the trap we can get into. And also, you realize when you took your emotions out for coffee, you realize why you were working so hard.
Oh my God.
And you were actually going hard for another goal. You were going hard. You were.
Yeah, I always remember my doctor saying, your body has quit, Dawn. Your body says no more, but my mind was going, I can do this. I can, when you're a positive optimist, it's almost unrealistic because my mind was like, no, we can do this. We can go. I can make this happen. I can be a mother of 4, run an international business, breastfeed, do 50 emails, clean my house. Oh my gosh! When I think about it now, I cannot believe. No wonder I ended up. It was like, God's way or my body's way of saying, that's it. We've tapped out. We're done. We are not doing this anymore. And now I paid the price. Let me tell you, I paid the price, but I'm a lot wiser for it. That painful season of my life taught me so much about what drives me. Why do I make the decisions that I make? What is motivating me? Is just me wanting to be a better person or a good person motivating me, or am I trying to impress somebody else? Am I trying to get acknowledgement and trying to, so we're constantly checking ourselves of why we do what we do, and to make sure the reasons are good reasons, not out of any form of insecurity or lack that we may have in our life. So now I'm not sure if you can hear my dog is cracking up in the background. I don't know if you can hear him. I don't know, there must be somebody coming to the front door, but I have thoroughly enjoyed this this Wow Women show with you, Jess. So tell me, just quickly tell us what you're doing now. Like, what's this new season look like for you, and how can people find you if they want to? If we've got passionate supporters or passionate volunteers that want to, I know you're up in Toowoomba. What are you doing next? Tell us.
Oh, yeah, sure. So that whole point is sometimes it takes more courage to stop than keep going. At the end of this year, I am giving up my leadership of Rahab and moving that on. Okay. Right. I've done this for 7 years and I love it. Love it. But and it's going to be really grievous for me to let that go. But I decided it was more courageous to do that and to step into this new space where I am really passionate about sexualization and culture. And the reason is that I have found that so many people haven't experienced a good relationship before. And what I really want to start promoting is that really the antidote to this is good family. Really, it's about learning how to relate with one another again and having good relationships so that we're better together. And I think that needs to be taught again, because so many people have said to me, it's like, I didn't realize that existed when they come across someone with a great marriage. Or I didn't realize that existed when they see families get together around the table for dinner every single night. So many people say, I didn't know that even existed anymore. And I'm really passionate about changing that, giving them a vision of what things can look like.
Okay. So how are you doing a program? Or is it a new organization you're putting together, or is it a bit top secret?
Well, at the moment, there isn't a super duper plan. I am doing a Bachelor of Ministry at the moment and have been right into apologetics, which has been really great, which has taken me into some really interesting places and spaces. But at the moment, it's a work in progress. But if you want to check us out on Rahab, you can look at Rahab Toowoomba on Facebook and you'll be able to be up to date on all that we're doing.
Okay, that's great. And watch this space. I'll be looking forward to see what you do next. But okay, well, that's wonderful. Thank you for joining us, Jessica. You were an absolute treasure, and I'm thankful that we've got young women like you on the front line helping our community be a better place for our children. I really am. That's good on you, and you're doing a wonderful job. So, hey, guys.
Thanks so much, Dawn.
Thank you so much for joining us on whether you're watching us live or on the podcast. Join us next. Actually, no, you won't. There'll be no Wow Women for a couple of weeks. I am away, but you can join us on the 7th of November, and I will be having Wow Woman Anna Rowlings. She is a TV journalist and presenter, and she's going to be sharing with us the journey of a corporate woman. She's a young woman coming up. And being a journalist and bringing us the news. So make sure you don't miss that. That will be the 7th so we won't be back until the 7th of November. All right, guys, you have a blessed day, and thank you for joining us. Bye. See ya.